Hey everyone, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2020 Ram 1500 Classic, we're going to be showing you how to install the CURT Trailer Hitch receiver. Before we do that though, since there's quite a few hitches available for this truck, why don't we take a minute, we'll check this one out and make sure it's going to be right for you. Something like this will be a good solution for those of you whose trucks did not come equipped from the factory with the hitch. And with this one, it's a good, all-around multi-purpose hitch, right? Kind of your general use stuff there. It'll work good for towing, medium, somewhat heavy-duty trailers, using accessories and things like that. With that said, there are a handful that are very similar to this, more small and on the compact side of things. And between them all, there's an etrailer one, a Draw-Tite one, a Blue Ox one. I'm not going to lie, they're all pretty similar in appearance, what they're going to be able to handle and things like that. Really can't go wrong with any of them. With the CURT, one of the things that does kind of separate it a little bit is the finish. It's more of a gloss black finish. The Draw-Tite has a semi-gloss, and then the Blue Ox and the eTrailer have more of a matte black style finish, which personally I'm a fan of. I think it matches the plastic on the bumper a little bit better and looks almost more like a factory option. There are other hitches available that, the cross tube of the hitch actually runs all the way across and connects to each frame rail. And with a handful of those are going to be a little bit more heavy duty, a little bit higher capacities. So if you're someone who's primarily going to be towing really heavy stuff, kind of pushing things to the limit a little bit, or just want something that's overbuilt, you can definitely check those ones out. The hitch is going to have a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, extremely common size, so a lot of things will work with it. It is going to use that standard 5/8 pin and clip. One doesn't come included with the hitch. If you need one, not a huge deal. You can always get it here at eTrailer. And these safety chain openings, they're pretty good size, relatively easy to get to, and just about any size hook that your trailer might have on it should work out just fine. For the weight capacities, or what the hitch is going to be able to handle, it's going to have a 600-pound maximum gross tongue weight rating. So that's the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. And with that number, you should be fine to use any type of accessory, just to give you an example there. For the maximum gross trailer weight rating, that's going to be 6,000 pounds, or the amount of weight that's pulling on the hitch. That will be the weight of your trailer plus anything that you might have in or on it. This can be used with the weight distribution system, which is a separate component. And what happens when you use that, it'll keep your truck and your trailer level whenever you're towing it down the road. That's pretty popular for campers and enclosed trailers. So if that's something you're going to be doing, might be worth checking that out. But if you do use that weight distribution, you do get a little bit more out of the hitch. The tongue weight goes up to 1,000 pounds, and the trailer weight goes up to 10,000 pounds. Now, with all that said, I do always like to suggest, never a bad idea just to grab your truck's owner's manual. That way you can check in there and make sure that your Ram can handle that amount of weight safely. We'll grab a couple measurements now, and these will help us figure out what type of accessories will work best. If we go from the ground to the top inside edge of our receiver tube opening, taking into account the lift that we're parked on, that's going to be about 22.5 inches. This truck does have some larger tires on it. They're 33-inch tires, so take that into consideration. But with that said, you can use that measurement to figure out if you need a ball mount with a drop or a rise. In this case, for sure, I'd recommend one that has a drop in the shank, probably that 4 to 6 inch range for most situations, or you can always get an adjustable ball mount too. That way if you ever make changes, you can dial everything in where you need it to be. And if you go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper, that's only going to be about 1.5 inches, which is really good. Shouldn't have any issues here, but if need be, you can use that to help figure out exactly if you have any folding type accessories, if they can actually be stored in an upright position without hitting the back of your truck. That's really about it, honestly. A good all-around hitch, and looks good on the back of the Ram. As far as the installation goes, pretty straightforward. It's almost one of those things where it takes you longer to kind of get set up and get the tools out and stuff than it actually does to put the hitch on. So really shouldn't have too many issues. I will say the big bolt up top does require a 1/2-inch size hex head or Allen key, if you will. Fairly large. I know a lot of people probably won't have this laying around, so think about that if you're going to install this yourself. And the hardware does require fairly high torque specs as well. You know, you really have to kind of tighten these bolts down good. So something to keep in mind when you're doing this. If this is something you want to mess with, you can always use our dealer locator network. That can help you find a shop in your neighborhood that can do something like this for you. But if you're going to do it, hang around. We'll go ahead and get started on it now. To begin your installation, you'll be here at the back of your Ram, and first thing you want to do, usually right here in this area, there's a little plastic cap, right? Ours is missing. The owner of this truck had a ball in here already, right on his bumper. But if your plastic cap's there, go ahead, take a little flathead screwdriver or something and pop that out of place. Moving underneath the truck, just to give us a little bit more room to work, I did lower and remove our spare tire. Once the trailer hitch is in place and everything, we will put this back up. At this point, what I like to do is grab our hitch here and the real big bolt that comes with it. And this bolt is going to thread into this opening right here, right? Well, from my experience, sometimes what can happen when they go to paint and powder coat these hitches, some of that can get down into the threads and make it kind of hard to start whenever you're trying to hold this up and everything. And so I just like to take the bolt, sometimes you spray penetrating oil in there if you want to, and just make sure that it runs in and out. You know, if you need to grab your hex key and a wrench and turn it, just to make sure that it'll go in straight and everything with ease. We'll grab the hitch and get this lined up. Gonna just push it into place. And then we'll line up that bolt hole with this hole in the bumper. Take our big bolt. And we'll just get this started hand tight for now. Moving underneath the truck, the 2 holes in the hitch are going to line up with 2 holes in this round beam here. And what you can do, take the pull wire, we'll make sure to get the coiled end of it. You'll feed it through the hitch and into the beam, and you'll start to push it towards the outside of the truck. And just feed it through there. Eventually, it will drop down. And what you can do, take a spacer block, put that on, and then a carriage bolt. You'll thread the carriage bolt onto the fish wire. Then you can feed this hardware up inside one at a time. And you'll just start to pull that hardware into place. We'll get it to come through there. And something that I like to do is take a flathead screwdriver and kind of just jam it, and apply some pressure to that bolt there. That way it'll stay steady. We'll remove the fish wire. Then you can take a flange nut, get that started hand tight. And I'm going to do that same exact thing with the same hardware for this attachment point. Now that this hardware is in place and hand tight, we'll come back with a 3/4 inch socket and snug it down. What you can do now, snug this big bolt down. And then we want to make sure and come back with a torque wrench and tighten down all the hardware to the amount specified in our instructions. With everything all torqued, we can go ahead and get our spare tire raised back into position. Shouldn't have any issues there as far as that goes. And we did not, went right back up. And with all that done, That'll finish up our look at and our installation of the CURT Trailer Hitch receiver on our 2020 Ram 1500 Classic.